And I'm gonna tell y'all the truth about Canelo. Motherfucker easy, man. Cakewalk, easy. Y'all sitting up here, y'all praising this dude, but it's nothing.
Do what Louis deserve to be in the pound for pound? Absolutely. Do Terence Crawford deserve to be in the pound for pound? Absolutely. But what about Gervonta Tank Davis?
I don't really do think Canelo a real 158 pounder. So who knows how much does his actually factor in this situation? That's the whole key point. And also,
no, but Bud is amazing. He's just, him and his whole team are just dope. But Bud's an amazing guy. But forget all that. He's talented in the ring.
Floyd Mayweather has voiced his full support for Terence Crawford, firmly backing him to dismantle Canelo Alvarez in a potential super fight, sending shockwaves through the boxing world. Meanwhile, Canelo has stirred major debate after boldly claiming that Terence Crawford is a more intelligent and complete fighter than the legendary Mayweather Jr. This surprising statement from the Mexican star has split fans and triggered sharp reactions from key figures in the sport, including Mayweather himself, his uncle Jeff Mayweather, and other top fighters and analysts.
People look at this fight and compare it to Mayweather's fight. Do you think Mayweather is like Canelo? Or Mayweather is like Crawford? Or maybe the same game plan?
I don't know. I don't really know. But, I put that fight in other place right now. I think Crawford is a little better than Mayweather. But Canelo have more experience right now. No, and I think it's totally other fight. I don't want to compare this fight with other fights. I think this fight is one of the best fights in the boxing history, and that's it.
Floyd Mayweather, one of boxing's greatest defensive fighters and an undefeated legend, didn't hold back his thoughts. Speaking to Fight Hype, he downplayed the hype around Canelo and revisited their 2013 clash, describing the win as effortless, a cakewalk. Mayweather insisted that even at nearly 40 years old, Canelo posed no real threat and the fight was easy for him. He also criticized the praise Canelo receives today, arguing that back then he was nothing and questioning the admiration fans now give him.
And I'm gonna tell y'all the truth about Canelo. Motherfucker easy, man. Cakewalk, easy. Y'all sitting up here, y'all praising this dude, but it's nothing. I was almost 40 years old when I cooked this dude. Easy. Y'all always disrespecting.
When it comes to Crawford, though, Mayweather has shown genuine respect. He publicly stated that, in his view, Terence Crawford is the current #1 pound-for-pound fighter, a remark that carries serious weight given Mayweather's high standards and deep understanding of the sport.
Do what Louis deserve to be in the pound for pound? Absolutely. Do Terence Crawford deserve to be in the pound for pound? Absolutely. What about Gervonta Tank Davis?
Undisputed heavyweight champion Alexander Usyk has added his thoughts to the growing discussion about a potential Terence Crawford vs. Canelo Alvarez super fight, and he appears to be siding with Crawford. In an interview with Thoughtful Insight, Usyk admitted that the matchup is extremely difficult to call, describing it as a true 50-50 fight. He acknowledged the power, experience, and danger that Canelo brings to the table at 168 pounds. However, when pushed to make his pick, Usyk made it clear that he gives the edge to Crawford.
Very hard. 50-50. For me, pound for pound, #1 is Terence Crawford.
Jeff Mayweather, Floyd's uncle and a respected figure in the sport, wasn't impressed with Canelo's remarks. He argued that Canelo's praise for Crawford may not be entirely genuine, suggesting it could be a tactic to hype up his next challenge. Jeff explained that it's common for fighters to build up future opponents, as it indirectly elevates their own legacy. By claiming Crawford is better than Mayweather, Jeff believes Canelo is attempting to make a potential win over Crawford seem like a far greater accomplishment than it really would be.
Maybe it is. I mean, but one thing is this. You will always say that somebody that already beat you is better than the person that you're fighting, because you want to make yourself look like you want to beat somebody that's better than everyone.
Jeff Mayweather also pushed back on the claim that Floyd was in his prime when he fought Canelo while Canelo was still inexperienced. He disagreed strongly, noting that Canelo actually had more fights on his record at that time than Floyd did. Jeff reminded everyone that Floyd was already 36 years old when they met, which is far from a fighter's prime years. In his view, a boxer's prime usually comes in their 20s, not in their mid to late 30s.
That was a Floyd at the top of his game with a very green Canelo with very little experience, and still took him, into deep waters. So
yeah, what was Canelo? What, 20 20 what? 23, 25?
yeah, he was. Very very young in the game, obviously.
Yeah, very young. He had more fights than Floyd, and he lost.
Yeah, but
man that was 30-something years old, 36.
When asked if Crawford is truly more intelligent and defensively sound than Floyd, Jeff admitted that Crawford may be just as smart, but he rejected the idea that his defense surpasses Floyd's. For Jeff, it's clear that Mayweather's defensive brilliance remains unmatched, even by a fighter as skilled as Crawford.
I think that, in order to make himself look like he beat someone that's better than Floyd, of course he's going to say all the good things about him, and then that makes him bigger than what he is.
Boxing analyst and former fighter Brian Norman recently shared his thoughts on the highly discussed potential showdown between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford. Norman pointed out that the weight gap between the two is a major factor that can't be overlooked. Crawford, who has ruled the lower divisions, would have to move up significantly to take on Canelo at 168 pounds, a weight class where Canelo has captured titles. Still, Norman raised an interesting argument that sparked debate, claiming that while Canelo has been successful at 168, he isn't truly a great super middleweight.
Yeah, I don't know, like, it was at 47, right? Not like,
that was going to be at 47. That was going to be at 147 for unification and all that.
It's too bad, but I think, you're young, he's young. Like, eventually, paths cross when two fighters keep winning. And I think, I have a good feeling that you guys are going to eventually go and face each other down the road.
Sure, I feel like that's in God's plan.
Very, very true. Hey, I know you have a high IQ with boxing, and you're very studious.
Former middleweight champion Daniel Jacobs recently weighed in on a potential clash between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez. Having shared the ring with Canelo and known Crawford for years, Jacobs brought a unique perspective to the discussion. While he made sure to acknowledge and respect Canelo's accomplishments and abilities, Jacobs didn't hesitate to express his belief in Crawford.
Well, I didn't have time in sparring, but I had at least over 15 years of knowing him, amateur, professional. I've seen where he started. I've seen how he's gotten better over time, but I also just know what resides in him. He's a dog, he's a beast. And he's out to prove something too, so I'm excited about this fight. Canelo obviously is self-explanatory. There's really no need to go down the rabbit hole when it comes to him. But I do see this being as a 50-50 fight. But if I was a betting man, I would bet on Crawford. But also too, you can't count Canelo out. I mean, would go in, I'm assuming, as the favorite, which is rightfully so.
But the debate doesn't end there, as Crawford's reflexes have also come under scrutiny. A recent lighthearted slapboxing session with Nico Ali Walsh, the grandson of Muhammad Ali, sparked questions about whether the aging Crawford still has the same quickness that defined much of his career. In the playful back and forth, both fighters exchanged light taps and laughs, but some observers pointed to it as a subtle sign that Crawford may not be as sharp as he once was, something that could be critical in a fight where razor-sharp reflexes might determine whether he avoids or gets caught by a Canelo power shot.
Okay, that's one. Shut up. You're going to 5. You're going to 5. I got you. No, it's done. We got each other. No, I said shoulder body. No, you're lying. Got you.
Nico Ali Walsh, grandson of the legendary Muhammad Ali, has openly declared his support for Terence Crawford ahead of a potential showdown with Canelo Alvarez. In a recent interview, Ali Walsh expressed his admiration without hesitation, saying, "I'm Team Bud all the way." He praised Crawford's athleticism and ring IQ as being straight out of the history books, adding that Crawford's legacy is already secure, and that a victory over Canelo would only further cement his status among the all-time greats.
I'm Team Bud. I'm Team Bud all the way. That
you have to be after he gave you them bits of advice.
No, but Bud is amazing. He's just, him and his whole team are just dope. But Bud's an amazing guy. But forget all that. He's talented in the ring. He's people only talk about greats when they leave the sport, but he's one of the greats that will be talked about for years to come, and he's still fighting. So we gotta appreciate the fights that we're watching now.
Showbiz the Adult described Terence Crawford as extremely strong while breaking down footage of Crawford putting down a heavyweight named Nico from a high position. Going through the moment frame by frame, he was stunned by Crawford's raw power and precise technique, stressing that this kind of strength from a naturally smaller fighter is far from normal. The analysis only reinforced his belief that Crawford isn't just skilled, he's physically gifted in ways that defy the usual limits of weight classes.
It's because it's a boxing match, okay? And it's not wrestling. But when you look at his footage, he tossed Nico to the ground from a standing position. From a clinching position, he tosses down a heavyweight. The type of position you're clinching in a boxing match. Brother, Terence Crawford is extremely strong. The guy is extreme.
Outside of the Mayweather camp, others have also voiced strong support for Crawford, including former heavyweight champion Shannon Briggs. A passionate backer of the Omaha-born fighter, Briggs believes Crawford won't just win, he'll stop Canelo. He expects Crawford to outbox the Mexican champion by switching stances and using his craft to confuse him in the later rounds. Briggs noted that Canelo has been outboxed in the past and argued that Crawford's slick style and versatility could create serious problems for him this time around.
I think it's going to be a great fight. I got Crawford by stoppage. And I've known him since he was a little kid, 12 years old. So to see him now fighting for a title is such a big fight. It's a great experience, great to see.
Last question from me then. How do you think Crawford stops him? How do you think he's able to work Canelo enough for him to stop the fight, drop, knock him down? How do you think this is possible by Crawford style?
He gonna box him. He can fight both ways. He gonna trick him up. One thing Canelo showed is that he can be outboxed. But I think this time in the late rounds, I think Crawford gonna have something for him.
Edgar Berlanga, who was thoroughly outclassed by Canelo in 2024, also shared his perspective on a potential Canelo versus Crawford clash. Although Berlanga himself couldn't match Canelo's skill in their fight, he still believes Crawford has a legitimate chance to score a surprise victory. He praised Crawford's talent, emphasizing that the American must lean on his ring IQ and once again prove why he's been able to dominate across multiple weight divisions.
First of all, he got to go in there and he just got to fight him. You know what I'm saying? He got to go in there. I think Crawford just got to go in there and do what he got to do. You know what I'm saying? He got to just be Crawford, show his IQ, show him why he's a two-time undisputed, world champion, and go in there with confidence, you know what I'm saying?
However, Berlanga didn't hold back from addressing the biggest concern, the weight difference. In his view, the jump Crawford would have to make could be the toughest challenge of the entire fight. He compared it to himself trying to move up to the heavyweight division, calling it a step that might be unrealistic and even dangerous.
That's all it is, it's a big weight difference, a big weight jump, that could be a difference in the fight, because obviously, it's like me jumping up to heavyweight. Obviously, I'm a foot of power, I'm a foot of that size difference, compared to my other fights. So I just think that he got to go in there and just be himself. And I said if he loses...
He also pointed out that Crawford's toughest test came recently against Israil Madrimov, a fight where Crawford absorbed more punishment than usual. That level of damage, Berlanga suggested, raises real questions about how Crawford would cope with someone as seasoned and powerful as Canelo.
Crawford could do it, you know what I'm saying? I think he could do it. Just like I said, just the size. The only shit that throws the fight off is the size and, obviously the power. And Canelo's IQ too, because Canelo got IQ, you know what I'm saying? And Canelo fought a lot much bigger guys, So I know that Crawford's power ain't gonna phase him. I know Crawford's size ain't gonna phase him either, you know what I'm saying? So, but for me, I think it's a 50-50 fight.
The conversation around this fight is unique because it isn't driven by just one narrative. Some believe Crawford's superior technical skills will carry him to victory. Others argue that size and power will eventually wear him down. Then there are fans who simply want to see the upset, even if they don't truly believe it's likely. What's certain is that both fighters possess the skill and mental toughness to win. What remains unknown is whether Crawford can overcome the physical disadvantages and rise above the natural weight gap.
That's not easy for Crawford. I mean, it's Canelo has the big advantage, but Crawford needs to manage well his body, his speed, and his power. because he's moving up to another level of weight.
While Crawford's resume is filled with impressive victories, stepping into the super middleweight division is completely uncharted territory for him. His confidence, ring IQ, and precision are undeniable, but Canelo has spent years settling into 168 and mastering how to use his size to break opponents down. That edge in comfort and familiarity could prove decisive, especially if the fight drags into the later rounds and becomes a grueling test of endurance.
I would say Crawford wins the fight based off of the skill set. That's the first and foremost. I think the biggest worry for me when it comes to that is just the size difference. Because obviously, great Mike Tyson said, you have a game plan until you actually get in there and you get hit, and then that changes the whole outskite of the fight. So I'm hoping that he's able to endure what Canelo's going to bring, but I think he has the skill set to be able to be like eluding all of the big shots and hit, not get hit. What does brother Nassim say? He has the most famous quote, swim without getting wet.
With legends, champions, and rising stars all backing Terence Crawford, the hype around a potential showdown with Canelo Alvarez continues to build. From Daniel Jacobs showing respect, to Usyk calling it a true pound-for-pound clash, and even Nico Ali Walsh framing it as a legacy-defining moment, the message is clear: Crawford isn't just coming to compete, he's coming to conquer. So, who do you have winning, Canelo or Crawford? Share your predictions and breakdowns in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss our deep dives into boxing's biggest stories. More fight analysis, fighter reactions, and insider perspectives are on the way. Stay tuned.